Hey, what's going on everybody? Jake here with Venture Visuals, and on this channel we break down popular music video effects and creative video editing techniques. And today I am stoked because we are going to be breaking down this crazy rotoscope transition effect that is used in the Scat Pack music video by Baby Hot and NLE Choppa. So I actually discovered this effect in this music video because of my dude Shot by Meek, who follows me on Instagram, hit me up and asked me to do a tutorial on this effect. So shout out to Shot by Meek. I appreciate you letting me know that I should break down this effect because it goes crazy. And if you are watching music videos and see effects that you want to learn how to create, definitely send me a DM on Instagram and let me know that you want to see how these effects work, and I'll do my best to create a tutorial. So here in my timeline, I've actually downloaded the Scat Pack music video so we can look at the effect a little bit closer. We can see here we have a nice rotoscope of the main artist here that's in the frame. So this is just a normal regular rotoscope. Here comes another rotoscope of him, the background layer here. Then there's this rotoscope layer, and then there's this rotoscope layer. And this rotoscope layer right here actually has a track mat being used on it, which I'm going to explain a little bit later. But you can see that there's another clip that's bleeding through that rotoscope layer. There's this line transition that opens, and if I just tab over, you can see how it kind of reveals the next clip underneath, and then it zooms in, and then we're in another shot right here. These are just all different rotoscoping layers and masks that are being used here to get these effects. And then what the editor is doing is he's keyframing the motion of those rotoscope layers. This is all just some keyframes, some camera movement maybe he's using the 3D camera right here. So I'm gonna explain how we can get similar effects to these using Premiere Pro and After Effects, and I'm gonna do my absolute best to make it look exactly like how it looks in the Scat Pack music video. We've got some music video clips from a music video that I shot last year, but you can see that we have our layers stacked on top of each other. So what we're gonna do first is just make cuts where each of these clips meets the next clip, right? So we're just gonna make some cuts here, right there, and it's gonna be on these end clips where we're gonna be doing the rotoscope. First thing we're gonna do is right click on this clip and hit nest, okay? And that's gonna make sure that we don't have any frame rate problems when we bring this into After Effects. So now that we have our top clip nested, what I'm gonna do here is just take that top clip that we're gonna rotoscope with the bottom clip. I'm gonna right click on both of them and hit replace with After Effects composition. And now that I'm here in After Effects, the very first thing I'm gonna do is rotoscope our top layer. So I'm gonna take this layer here and I'm gonna duplicate it. So I'm gonna hit Command D, and I'm gonna call this one here on the bottom background, and we'll call this one rotoscope. And what I'm going to do now is come up here to my roto brush, double click on this layer, and I'm going to start tracing the outline. I'm just going to spend a couple minutes here making sure that I get a nice rotoscope along this timeline. And now that I'm good with that, I'm gonna come up here to my composition, go back to my composition. I'm gonna turn off this background layer, and now you can see we have our rotoscope layer sitting on top of the next video. For now, we're gonna turn our background layer and keep that on so that we have our rotoscope on top of the original background. What we're gonna do with our rotoscope layer in After Effects is just duplicate it a couple of times. Let's duplicate it twice. So we're gonna hit Command D twice. So now we have our rotoscope layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3. So let's just take this second rotoscope layer, click that layer and hit P, and that's gonna pull up our position value. So we're gonna make a keyframe here on the position, and then we're gonna go over a little bit, and we're just gonna click and move our position over. So you can see we have that layer, that rotoscope layer now kind of popping out of him. Let's make another keyframe here under position, and then have it kind of go back into where it was, so we can just kind of drag it back over. So let's see what that looks like. So let's check this out. Boom. Let's put a clip inside of this rotoscope layer 3. So let's just start moving this one around a little bit farther into our timeline here. So I'm just gonna open up the keyframes. We're just gonna move this one maybe to the right a little bit, and then we'll kind of have it cross the screen right here. So, you know, we'll have it move all the way left towards the end. We kind of have this motion now. So boom, boom. So we're gonna fill this third rotoscope layer, this one right here, and we're gonna fill this with something different. So let's move our next clip, which is down here at the bottom, the one that we're transitioning to. Let's move it up below rotoscope 3 right there. Okay, so now what we need to do is change our track mat option right here from none to alpha matte rotoscope 3. And you'll see now that we have our next clip peeking through the background here. So they do this a lot in their music video where the next clip is showing through the rotoscope layer. So that's how you get these kind of crazy effects here in these transitions, because what you can do from here is just keyframe the rotoscope layer, the scale of it, and you can increase the scale and you can reveal the next clip underneath. So you start getting kind of like these crazy transition ideas. We'll move this over so that we got it showing the whole part of the next clip, and then we're just gonna cut everything. So we'll just highlight everything, hold Command-Shift-D, cut everything, make sure we cut all of our rotoscope layers, and then we have our next clip right there. So now we have this kind of crazy looking effect. We need to move the rotoscope layer 3 here down so that the other rotoscopes are on top of it and it doesn't come in until later. So right there, it's perfect. At the base of it all are just keyframes, track mats, and rotoscoping, right? And then from there, it's just figuring out how to do your layers. So now that we have this transition going on, I'm gonna move this rotoscope of him out of the way so that we can transition nicely into this clip. So you can see how he kind of just drops out of the frame right there pretty abruptly. So what we need to do to kind of fade him out here is to highlight our rotoscope layer. So anything that is still visible. So we're gonna take these 3 rotoscope layers over here and hit T, and that's gonna pull up our opacity value. We're gonna hit a keyframe on our opacity, and then we're just gonna bring the opacity down to 0 here at the end, so he kind of just fades out right there. So boom, he fades out, goes into the next clip. Now you can also get creative with this. If you wanted to change the position, we could just hit P, and that's gonna bring up our position values, so we can just make a keyframe here for our position values on each of these layers. As he fades out, we can move all of these layers over to the right. We wanna make sure that we also turn our motion blur on for these layers. So let's take a look at what this effect is looking like in full motion. So here on my screen, you can see got those rotoscope layers kind of popping out of them, and then it just zooms in there and we kind of get this crazy looking transition that just kind of zooms into the next clip. So this is pretty much like the fundamentals of what they're doing in these types of music videos. You can see we're getting like a very similar effect, and they're just manipulating the layers and the track mats and the rotoscope. So we're gonna do one more example of this just so you can see how this looks back to back with some of my own personal footage, which I'm sure it looks similar to a lot of your guys' footage as well. It's super slow motion footage shot in 120 FPS. What we're gonna do again is just right click on it, hit nest, hit OK. So we're actually gonna make a cut right here on this clip, duplicate it, bring it down one more underneath. We're gonna right click on this one in the middle, hit nest, hit OK, click and drag on all these layers right here, and then we're gonna right click on all 3 and hit replace with After Effects composition. And for this transition, I really wanna copy this effect right here that they did, where it transitions into the next clip, but in the process, you get all these different creative effects. So step 1 for us is gonna create a rotoscope layer and fill it with this black color. Let's take this top layer, let's click on our rotoscope tool. We're gonna start tracing him again. Now I'm gonna skip past this part because it's gonna take me a minute to get this rotoscope looking good. Okay, so I'm here at the last frame and I've got it all rotoscoped, so I'm gonna go ahead and click back into my composition here. We can see that he's rotoscoped out of the background, so we don't want this happening yet. We still wanna see our original background, so I'm gonna duplicate our rotoscope layer, and with this one underneath I'm gonna delete the roto brush. So I'm just gonna call this top clip rotoscope because this is my rotoscoped layer. So I'm just gonna duplicate that a few times because we're gonna create a few different rotoscope edits. So what we're gonna do with this second rotoscope layer, come here to the beginning, we're gonna hit P, and we're gonna change the position so that it starts to slide out, right? So we want it to start sliding out from the background, so we'll have him slide out over here, and he's just kind of sitting out over there for the meantime, and then right here towards the end he'll slide back to his original spot. So we'll just keyframe the position, perfect. And now to kind of get that black fill, what we're gonna do is come over here to our effects and presets, type in fill, and drag that onto our rotoscope layer, and then you can see we can change the color of our fill to that black color. And now with this bottom-most rotoscope layer, we're gonna go ahead and just move that over out of the frame for now, and we're gonna hit P on that layer, right? So we're gonna keyframe the position of this one that comes in. Now we're gonna change the position now that we're a little farther, so you can see he slides in there. Now what makes these rotoscope slides look a little bit better is when you turn on the motion blur. So let's just make sure that we turn the motion blur on. Another thing I like to do with these rotoscopes is to easy ease the keyframe. So I'm just gonna right click on this keyframe, come down here to keyframe assistant and hit easy ease in on this second one. Kind of slides in gradually to this spot here on the right. If you want to get real intricate, you can open up this graph editor and change the keyframe curve, so you can change it and make it so that it slides in fast here in the beginning and then it slows down more gradually towards the end. As I hop back here into the original music video, we can see the next thing that happens is this overlay kind of comes out of this middle rotoscope. Maybe like right here is where the overlay starts to happen. Cut this rotoscope layer by holding Command-Shift-D. I'm just going to use an overlay from my texture overlay pack, which is available on ventorvisuals.com. We're going to use this glitch overlay. So let's take this glitch overlay, put it below our new cutout layer here. So what we need to do is toggle our switches and modes, change our track matte to alpha matte rotoscope 4, and that's going to put our glitch inside of this layer. So what we can actually do is take this first rotoscope layer, bring it to the top here, drag it over, and now we can transition out of this however we want. For this, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. We're just going to change the opacity. So I'm just going to click T on my keyboard. That's going to open up my opacity keyframe. I'm going to keyframe it from 100 down to 0. So now we're getting that glitch starting to show through there. So our next clip is here on the bottom of our timeline, and it's going to be right about here where we want to start seeing the next clip come through, right? So we're going to go ahead and hit Command-Shift-D and get rid of the beginning part of the next clip. So I'm just going to cut this new layer right here, the one that we're going to track matte to our next clip. I'm going to hit Command-Shift-D, and this is going to mark where this clip starts to transition. Now what I'm going to do is drag this layer below our top rotoscope glitch layers right there. We're going to drag our top rotoscope layer in like that, and now I'm going to bring our next clip up into the picture here. So I'm just going to hit T on my keyboard, keyframe the opacity from 100 and take it down to 0, and that's going to bring in our new rotoscope layer underneath, and we're going to use this layer to transition into the next clip. So we're just going to keyframe the scale. So I'm just going to hit keyframe there on 100, and then at the end of this clip it'll get really big. So we're just going to change the value up to maybe, I don't know, 400% around there. Come back to this first keyframe, go to our position and make a keyframe there on our position, and then we're going to go to where this last keyframe is about, and then we're going to change the position so that it starts to reveal that second clip underneath, right? So you can see we need to scale it up even a little bit more. So let's go back to our scale value and let's change the scale so it goes even more, right? So maybe like that, and that is looking good. We're just gonna easy ease this position, right click on it, easy ease out, go to the keyframe editor, give it our little curve, and then we're gonna do the same thing with the scale. Right click on this keyframe, keyframe assistant, easy ease out, work on this graph right here, easy ease out. So we have the scale and the positioning kind of easy ease out, and as this layer is moving we should turn on the motion blur. It's going to look a lot better. So let's go ahead and turn motion blur on for this layer. You can see that that now blurs the edges as it starts to pop out of the frame, makes it look a little bit more natural. And so let's go ahead and save this and watch what it looks like in full motion in Adobe Premiere Pro. So first effect right here, boom, sick. And then second effect coming up right here. So that's it for this one, guys. I know this was a lot to take in. Rotoscoping, keyframes, I mean, all of the above. It's a lot of information. And if you are a creative person who's interested in joining a community of other creative people, definitely consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Coming out with a lot of new tutorials and video editing packs. And if you are interested in adding some sauce to your edits today, definitely consider checking out my website, ventorvisuals.com. I have overlays, transitions, and a bunch of other stuff on there which you can try completely for free. So I'll include a link below for that. And thank you guys for watching this video. It means the world to me. Until next time, I'm Jake Venner. Peace out.